All right, first thing we're going to do, let's look at number 1 because you've done this before, I know. Here's the only thing you have to remember. When we're dealing with complex numbers, I squared equals -1. You remember that? Yes? All right. What? You have a question? Probably was what I was, yeah, but we weren't doing that yesterday. Since adding and subtracting, we don't do that. All right. Otherwise, for example, you can just distribute. 6 times -4 is -24. 6 times -8i would be -48i. Then we do the next one. -5i times -4 would be positive 20i, wouldn't it? Okay. Now here's where you have to, and I wouldn't do the answer all at once. -5 times positive, or -8 is positive 40, but I times I is I squared. So you should go ahead and write it like that first. Yes. Now this is like we did yesterday, adding like terms, except this term right here is the same as that. Remember, I squared equals -1. So anytime you end up with an I squared, you don't leave those in the problem, you change them to -1. Okay? Which now is going to make this a -40. Isn't 40 times -1 -40? Well, what's 40 times -1? -40. Now you add like terms. We have a -24 and a -40. So you will have -64, right? We're adding. Then you combine your i's in the middle here. So what would this end up being? And now I'm finished with this one. It has to be written in A plus BI form. So basically you're just distributing like you always would. All you have to do is remember to change your I squareds to -1. That makes, all it really does is change the sign of that number, doesn't it? Isn't it saying the same thing? If I have an I squared on something, it's just going to change it to its opposite. Because anytime you multiply by -1, that's what happens. Now, do you want to try one of these or just go on to another example? You think you got this, or do you want to try one? All right, where's another one that's similar to this? Do number 2 for, let's just try that and see if you get it right. I'm going to go ahead and just do this problem. You can check it as you go. -6 times 4 is -24. -6 times -5i, positive 30i. Then we have -6i times 4, -24i. And then this is a, well, I want to draw it. That's going to be a negative or positive 30i squared, and that makes that negative, doesn't it? Remember, the I squared becomes -1, makes this opposite. Now we can add like terms. So when we add -30 and -24, should have -54. How many had that part right? Okay. And then the last one, or the last part of this complex number is the imaginary part. Do you get a positive 6i? So your final answer is -54 plus 6i. How many got that? The rest of you see what you did wrong. Hopefully.
Whenever we do the I squared, the I comes away from that 30, right?
I squared becomes -1. It's gone. becomes negative 1. No, there's no I there anymore. You've replaced I squared with negative 1. Okay. All right, let's do this. Now, some of these are a little different. Guys, I need you to listen. Shh. I need you quiet, please. Now, I'm going to do one of these, and maybe you can try one. This is not FOIL. This has just got 3 parentheses times each other. And these two, I would do first. Well, then it would become, you're right, a negative I times negative 2I is a positive 2I squared. We still have this. We haven't distributed yet. But what does the I squared do now to the 2? Yep. So it's going to be negative 2 times 3 plus 7I. Then you just distribute the negative 2. Right? So you'll have negative 6 minus 14I. Yeah, we're not foiling here, so don't do too much. Some people want to do too much to this problem. I just multiply the first things outside together first, simplify that, and then distribute. Does that make sense? I want you to try one of these on your own. Let's see if you know what to do with another one here. Let's do number 7. Well, actually, let's try 5's okay. Let's do 5. I want to see, this is a little different. I want to see if you know how to handle 5. Heck yeah. See if you can do this one. It's a little different. We need to do it. All right, so here we're going to have positive 10I first when you multiply those together. Now that's not an I squared there, right? There wasn't an I here. Now you do your distributive. That times that would be negative 60I. And that'll be a positive 30I squared. Now what happens to this 30? It's going to be negative 30 now, isn't it? Now here's how you'd write your answer. If you had this, negative 60I minus 30, it's not wrong, but it's not written in the right form. It's always supposed to be written in A plus BI form when you're finished. The I, or imaginary, comes second. Now, how many had this right, though? Okay. By the way, give yourself 2 bonus points, and on the other one, too. 2 on the other one if you got it right. I think this is enough for you to understand whatever you're going to run into. Mm-hmm. So let's see if you can, let's get this finished and turned in so you don't have to worry about it. Tomorrow tomorrow I may give you the day off because I probably won't do anything in my other classes since some people aren't going to be here. How many of you are going to be here, are not going to be here tomorrow? For sure. Okay. Okay. That'll work.